Okay, continuing. So we have just made some character styles, both for our events and for the first word of each paragraph of this. I actually added this one because I forgot that I hadn't applied it earlier. Um, Now I want you to see how you can go back into your character styles after you've made them, and still make edits and change things. So, for instance, if I went into first word and to go into it, I'm on the character style panel here. Where should I do it? Right here. And I click on it. It brings up that menu panel that you set up everything in the beginning. So you could now change you can add, you can do whatever you want to your styles. And if you've got the preview button checked at the bottom, what's kind of great is you can actually see what happens when you change things. So I'm making my first words a little bit bigger. I think it's a little bit more fun if they're bigger. So I'm going to make them 14 point, just for kicks. And I'm going to say OK, and you can see it immediately applied them. And what I'm noticing, and I didn't notice before, is that I have overset. I have these two little words are hanging out at the bottom. That's not acceptable. So something that we can do, and this is slightly advanced, this is what you do in a newspaper a lot, is that you would look at your type, look at your copy, and see if there's any lines that aren't completely filling out to the end here. And sometimes this means that we can actually track the letter spacing of this particular paragraph. Now, I'm not going to do Joe Malone, but from the word to the word, I can track it by just clicking a minor number, so going to negative tracking. And do you see what happened? I went from 0 to -10, and it pulled that word in. That's exactly what we wanted to do. Now I'm noticing something else here. As I zoom in, see these brown words here that have like a jaggedy line underneath them? That is the spell check. And Estee Lauder is spelled correctly, as we know, but this word is not spelled correctly. So if you right-click on it, then it will give you options of spelling, and that is correct. So that is good. So that's one way of doing things. Now the other thing, for instance, just in terms of aesthetics, on this, I don't know what I just did, on this this event, I'm really hating the colors. So while we had a break, I added more Pantone colors that were kind of more in that vein of the pinks and the pinks and black and grays and stuff. So I'm going to not have to worry about my swatches panel, even though they're there. I'm going to go to, for instance, the event name, and I'm going to just go straight to the color, and I'm going to scroll down on my list to the darker red, and I'm going to say OK. And then I'm going to go to the dates and times, again, character color, and I'm going to pick kind of a medium color. Ooh, these might be a little bit, there we go, OK. And then we're going to go to what, the location, same thing. See how simple it is to just fix things. I don't really like that pink either. Maybe I'll pick a pink and then pick a tint of the pink. So see the tint here? You can make it kind of light. I like it light because I kind of like how it's becoming a spectrum, or again, a kind of an ombre thing. But now it feels like it's too light of a font, so I'm going to make it medium. And I like that better, and say OK, bam. That's how that works. Now we want to add a headline in here, because this looks kind of dumb just coming right off the top. I'm pulling down my box. Now there's ways of doing this, like we had it up here. Remember, none of this underneath is going to print, right? If we go to W, none of that's going to print. In fact, if we go back to W, maybe we should take our hidden characters away, hide hidden characters by going to type, so that you don't see those paragraph marks. You could either pull it down, but I think the easiest thing to do would be literally to just, with the black arrow tool, pull the whole box. Even though it looks like it's overlapping our perfumes, it actually is not. And you can actually pull the box up that way. And if that, of course it didn't work, but it's not, if you go to W, it's not printing. There's no stroke on this, there is no white background, it's just fine right there. And if we want to make, we probably should have some kind of headline. Let's go back to W. I'm going to the T tool. I'm going to pull out a box that's margin to margin so I know to not be in there, and I'm just going to call it City of Hope Events. And look at that, it actually picked the font that I was last on. I'm going to go to Shift-Control-C to center it. And with this, I could pick one of the colors we're using, and I could make it bigger by Command-Shift-Period. And maybe if we want to make it all caps, which would be proper, it would be something like that. Perhaps this is too big. It's kind of fighting with our profile picture over there. So I'm going to go to Command-Shift, comma. Whoops, but you have to have it selected, remember? Command-Shift, comma. And then maybe we pull it down or not, whatever you want to do. That's the basic idea. Again, if you wanted to, remember, this is InDesign. Perhaps this is very badly designed right now. If you select everything by black arrowing over the whole thing, go to Command-G to group it so it's one big chunk now. You can pull this down. Now I'm going to select all the boxes by rubber banding them. I'm going to hold my Shift key up as I move all of them up. And again, you want to have your W on there. So I'm going to pull them all the way up to the top of the margin, but not ahead of it. A little bit down. I use my arrows tool. Maybe that's a little bit more balanced. And again, if you click it with the W, that's good. Okay? So that's how you can move things around. Now, very important, the last video we're going to do is about master page elements. So master page elements are things like putting the logo or what's called the folio on the very, very bottom of the page. You see that in magazines, you see it in books, you see it all the time, you probably don't notice it. You must have your W margins on, and then I want you to look very closely at the Pages panel. At the very top of the Pages panel, there's something that says None, and then there's something that says A Master. And A Master is the name for master pages. And what happens, I'll just show you, is that whatever is on the A Master is going to be applied on the pages, the actual printing pages below. So this is our 1 through 4, and the A Master is the ones up at the top. And when you double click on the A Master, there's a left, because these are facing pages, that's the left, and that's a right page. And every left or every right page will have whatever you put on here applied into the document. So for Joe Malone, I'm going to zoom in, and I do think you should zoom in. I am going to place a logo that I know I have, that's a small version. So I'm actually going to go to Control-D. I have to go find that image in my organized files, and it's Joe Malone SM, small logo, 300. I'm going to say OK. And again, it loads it up, and I'm going to put it, this is the only time where we're below the margins, but not too close to the trim. So I'm going to put it kind of right here. And that's about where I think it should go. I'm going to align it, or maybe I'll actually put it right in the middle of the page. And notice the smart guides work. Just have to make sure. And then if I want one on the other side as well, I can do the same thing, or I can hold the Option key down as I drag across, and it made a duplicate. And again, you want to make sure that one is also centered. There we go. And we'll talk about alignment next week, but If you click on both of those, up at the alignment, there's an alignment panel up here. These are all alignment, and we'll talk about it next week. But if you want them to be, you always want everything in InDesign to be aligned consistently. So I'm just going to distribute the top edges at the same place, which they already were, but that's the way it works. Now, just to show you the difference between a right and a left page, because these are going to look the same, I'm going to go and I'm going to add a pink stroke around just that logo. This is just to show you what it looks like, so that you can see the difference between a left and a right page. Notice there's like a dashed, almost a dotted line around these. That means those are master page elements. Remember, we are not on the regular page, we're way up here. Now, when we go down to our spread, I'm going to click into the regular page 2 and page 3. There they are. And you can't move them. You can't move them at all. You can move everything else on the page, but that logo is there solidly forever, unless you go back up to your master page. So for instance, I think maybe this looks really dumb, this pink logo. Oh, and also, let's see, if we go to the left page here, which is actually the back cover, it's there. If we went up to the cover, you're like, well, it's not there. Well, it is there. It's just that we've got an image going over it. There it is. I will show you next week how to override it, but we really usually don't want to, except that we don't want to see it on the back cover or the right cover. It's really usually just used for a spread. Now, if I go, and I just did that, if I go up to the master page, I'm up into this A master area, and I double click on the right page, I can edit this back down to 0 and save, and just then you don't even have to save, and you click back, and there you go. That's what a master page element is. And it's very handy when you're working on a book. There's ways of putting, so it actually, it shows every page, 1 through whatever, you know, it paginates the document. We're not going to worry about this because there's not enough pages to worry about. So that's the gist of the assignment. On the back page, have product shots, have another customer image, make sure that you duplicate, that you prepare every image, that you get good images from Google that are the right size. You're not upscaling, you're not resampling up, you're only resampling down. This is it, and we've covered a lot. Okay, I'm going to go back to the cover here. There we go. All right.